Hi friends, this is Ernest Sears Jr. again with SOS Consulting, and today I wanted to touch a little bit on a topic that I left off on the last video. I was touching on the importance of making sure your team is aware of the development cycles that a team goes through. Every team goes through these cycles regardless of how small, how big, and also there's a variable amount of time that the team spends in each of these cycles, in each of these steps and phases of the team development cycle. So they consist of 4 stages. So a team goes through a forming stage, then it goes through a storming stage, then there's a norming stage, and then a performing stage. And if the team is only together to accomplish a major goal, a major strategic initiative, when that's all done, oftentimes the team breaks up because it was only formed for that particular purpose. And then when it's over, then they go through a step in the cycle called adjournment. But that's actually very rare, because most teams are formed in a corporate environment or in an environment in which there are going to be many initiatives, many strategies, many goals that they have to accomplish along the way, and they only change based on attrition as one team member or another, leaves for another position, gets fired or gets promoted, laterally moves. Things happen, and that's the way the team changes its makeup little by little. So we're going to pretty much speak on just those 4, the forming, the storming, the norming, and the performing. So basically, when a team gets together, they form. Okay? In that forming, you will have some of the activities that I discussed last time that take place, where the leader or the manager meets with every team member, gets to know them, talks to them, finds out what they're all about at their core, finds out what they're looking to accomplish, what fulfills them, what is their vision for themselves. And conversely, I talk to them about my vision for that team and what I see their role as. And we both sort of agree on that person's role on the team and what they're going to accomplish. And then I hold them accountable on a periodic basis, whether we're going to meet for a one-on-one bi-weekly, bi-monthly, quarterly. I meet with them. We establish mini goals. We establish follow-up goals, and I follow up with them and I hold them accountable to what they said they would do. And so in the forming stage, every team member goes through that, and everybody's really getting to know each other. Everybody is just, number one, understanding that they're all on the same team. They understand basically what the goals are. Everybody understands basically what each of their roles happen to be, and they understand my role. That's really all in the forming stage. That's just about it. So that's forming. I'm sure there's some things I missed, but for the most part, that is forming. The next point, number 2 phase in the development cycle of a team, is storming. And it's just what you think it is. Challenges arise, difficulties arrive, people are not getting along, people are jousting for position, people are wondering what their role is in context with the other person's role. They're wondering, to what extent does the other person's job or role negatively impact them. There are processes that don't go as smoothly as they will go in the future, because people are still figuring out where they fit in, figuring out how they create a widget and how when they create a part of that widget, when it goes to the next person, what that person is supposed to do with the widget before it moves on. They're still figuring out how they're supposed to work together. What are the appropriate ways that they're supposed to interact? What are the rules of engagement? We're still working those things out. So during the storming phase, my job is very, very crucial in that I am putting out fires. I am helping people to better understand what their role happens to be in juxtaposition or in comparison or in context with another person's role. And I give them the tools, both communicatively and, rule-wise as to how they should be engaging with those other people. I talk to them about what those boundaries should be and what the expectations should be when they're working together. So the manager, the leader's job is very, very important when you're in the storming phase, because the expectations need to be set, and this is something that hardly ever happens on a team. You hardly ever have a leader or a manager that says, okay, team, we just formed. Things are going to get more difficult. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have difficulties. You're going to have personality clashes. But I'm here to help you work with them. We're going to work together. And so it's preferable in anticipation of the storming stage or phase that you provide your team with tools to get along with each other, to problem solve. Some of the things I use are DISC, where there's 4 communication styles. You have dominant, you have influential or influencer, you have steady, and you have compliance or compliant. And those are 4 different communication styles. You're going to have several of those different types of styles on your team. And before the storming phase, you want to, while they're forming, you want them to get an understanding of what those different communication profiles and styles are, so that they can learn how to be able to get along with each other, know what the do's and don'ts are. For instance, if you have a dominant on your team, that dominant needs to know how to best get along with a steady, because that's going to be the opposite in terms of communication styles. If you have a compliance person, someone who has a compliance style, that doesn't mean that they're a compliant person and they're, don't say anything, and they, whichever way the wind goes, it's okay with them. That's not what compliant means. It means that they're rule oriented and they are into compliance and regulations, and so they're everything but wallflowers. They will get in your face when it comes to making sure everybody's abiding by the rules. So anyway, it's very important that your team knows in the forming stage how everybody works, how everybody communicates, the best way, the optimal way to communicate with somebody. They need to have that information. Another resource that I use is Myers-Briggs. I get everybody tested on Myers-Briggs, so everybody knows what their Myers-Briggs profile happens to be. Once you know those things about yourself, and then you know it about your teammates, when things don't go well, when challenges come, when problems come, it's easier to maintain a solution-oriented mindset when you're addressing issues. And so that's definitely the kind of advice I would give any leader or any team member when you're in that storming stage. You really need to understand yourself, your role, and then the roles and communication styles of your teammates. Because when things don't go well, you need to be able to fall back on, wait a minute, we just had this seminar, we just had this long discussion about DISC, about Myers-Briggs. I remember how I should get along with Tom, or I remember what I can say or do to get through to Stephen or Shelley, So the storming stage can last very fast. It may not last very long, or it could last a long time. There are a lot of variables and factors involved in how long it might last. If you've done the homework and the preparation, it could be very quickly that you go through a storming stage, very quickly. But if you did not have the foresight to prepare your team for storming, then it can go on for a long time. There can be calls to HR. There could be people quitting because of personality clashes. There could be people just wanting to be vindictive and wanting to get somebody back for something that was said that was, you can't forgive them for it because you don't really understand the intentions of that person. So it can be really, really problematic. The storming stage can be very problematic if you are a new manager, a new leader, and you're not aware of it. This is why I like to let my team know. There are 4 stages, and when we get to storming, you'll know it. And so, rely on me to help you, get clarity on what our main goals are. The sooner you can get your team refocused, not on each other, but what is this common goal that you all have together to accomplish, the quicker you might be able to do what is necessary to move through the storming stage onto norming. Okay? So enough on storming, and we will talk more about that later. If you have questions about that, remember, anything I talk about, if there are questions that occur to you, comment below, email me, contact me on any of my social media places, and I would love to be able to engage with you on these things, discuss these with you, and talk more. So next is norming, and norming is just that period of time where you enter and it's like, there's a sigh of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. My team knows what I'm doing. I have some great rapport going on here. There's some camaraderie. We have had some team builders. We have had the opportunity to go around the circle in a team meeting and get to know each of the team members. Each team member has had a chance to introduce themselves, possibly talk about themselves and what they like. Hopefully, as a manager or as a leader, you've had the opportunity to bring the team together so they get to know each other, not only in a business setting, but in a more casual setting. Because this is where trust is built. This is where camaraderie, cohesion is built. When you get to that point, norming is something that will last a long time, and it should be the default. The default stage is norming. Okay. Then after norming, we go into performing. And performing, a lot of time, has to do with being so good and so competent at those interactions and those interrelationships and those your duties and how you interact with people on your team that have different duties, different job titles. When you do that so well, that is a sort of unconscious competence that kicks in, and you're like a well-oiled machine. Everything is humming, everything is moving, the goals are getting accomplished one after the other. You're high-fiving each other. You are giving each other kudos. You are praising each other. You are, when you're talking to a customer or another colleague, you're praising, you're saying something nice about one of your teammates because, they did something awesome for you. They helped you to get something through production. They helped you to get a particular job done that if you had done it all yourself, it would have taken longer. So performance mode, or performing, that stage is like, it's magical because everybody is just, moving on 8 cylinders, things are being done quickly because you're moving at the speed of trust. If you've ever read Stephen Covey's Speed of Trust or gone through one of those seminars, you realize that a lot of time things go quickly when you are not engaged in distrust, when you're not wondering whether or not somebody actually knows how to do their job, or when you're not holding some grudge against somebody, when you are in a position where you trust your teammates, they trust you, things are going well, you have a history of success, you have shared experiences that are mostly positive, then you're moving along at what is called the speed of trust. It's like the speed of light. Things happen very quickly because there are no obstacles and barriers based on trust. Understand what I mean? So there you have it, folks. We talked about forming, which is the very beginning, where nobody really knows what they're doing. All they know is, hey, we have this manager or this leader in common, and we kind of have an idea of what our goals are. But other than that, we don't know each other yet. Storming, we're getting to know each other, but we don't trust each other yet. We don't really understand each other. We're still trying to figure out how to best communicate with each other to get work done. It's challenging. until we really trust each other, we understand each other's job and how our jobs work together and are coordinated. And the leader or the manager has a very crucial role in guiding the team through the strait of the storming phase. And then there's norming. It's a sigh of relief when you get to norming. It's like the storm is over and the seas are calm and people are getting along and work is getting done, and you establish some rituals and some norms and some regimens and everybody seems to understand each other. But you move to that next level, which I call a level of unconscious competence, where you no longer have to even think or dwell or focus on or actually work on work on getting along with people, work on what do I do to fix this. It just happens automatically because of reps, because of experience, because of shared experience, because of knowledge, because of history together, because of success together, a great track record. And so you have the trust, you're moving at the speed of trust, and you're moving like a well-oiled machine. So those are the 4 phases of the team development cycle. And if you want to talk more about those in detail or have me talk about those more instead of talking about all 4 of them, if you just want a video just on one of those, I would love to do that. I have just so much experience over the past 22 years of dealing with so many different teams and helping them address their issues and become high performing that I would love to talk more about this. So thank you so much for listening, and we will resume next time with the 3rd tip to creating a winning team culture and a circle of alliance. Take care now. Bye-bye.